Hello and welcome to week 4. For week 4, the first thing that you're going to do is complete your reading assignments. This week, you'll notice that we are reading segments from Virgil's Aeneid and Ovid's Metamorphoses. Then you're going to move on to the project number 2, annotated bibliography. Please remember, just like before, for project number 1, you're going to look for 3 different scholarly sources. You can even add that in there. Make sure that you won't forget. 3 different scholarly sources that you will use for project number 2. You want to make sure that you set them up in works cited format in MLA 9th edition. You can often use that cite widget, but don't forget to double check that everything is the way it should be. For example, capital letters and titles, or punctuation might be missing in one way or another, but you'll want to cite that and double check against something like the OWL, the Purdue Online Writing Lab, the Purdue OWL. You're also going to include a half-page summary for each of these sources, but remember, the summaries need to include 2 usable quotes, the purpose of the article, and how you're going to use the source in your paper. So that's for each of those. So all 3 of them will have all 3 of these parts. If you scroll down here, you'll notice that the font is quite small and it's single spaced. So if you do single space, it would be about a quarter of the page for each of yours, but you want to, again, make sure that you include all of these pertinent parts. I've also given you the project number 2 handout to guide your thinking around the annotated bibliography, but when you open it, you'll notice that it's very much the same as the project number 1 handout. This time you are going to use 3 outside sources. However, you still are going to look for some commonalities across works, within works, and think about what it is exactly that you have been thinking about as you've been reading and what you would like to, in effect, argue for, because you are now the literary critic who is illuminating these works or this work for your readers. And then as you move through the week to the do section, you're going to do discussion forum number 4. I really want you to think, as we're transitioning from our Greek mythology to our Roman mythology, what you're seeing, how are things changing? What changes do you see even from Virgil to Ovid? And we've got, obviously, again, the role of the gods and gods, only with the human characters in the stories, but how the stories themselves have the ability to make the audiences of the time think. So you'll do that. You'll post once with your initial post, and then, of course, to 2 classmates. You have quiz number 4, and you'll submit your project number 2, annotated bibliography. All of that is due by September 18th at 11:59 p.m. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask.